Hey everybody, this is Strategy Wizard again and Crazycraft. Today we're going to be doing a review of Dragon's Hoard by Renegade Games and designed by Nathanael Mortensen. Now, this little game, honestly, I got because I like dragons and the artwork looked good.
I like dragons too.
Yeah, so this was one of those things. It's a cheap game, give it a shot. Maybe it'll turn out to be fun.
And it looks epic.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it just feels good and funny at the same time. You got the little goofy little sheep there that's fixing to get eaten by that big nasty dragon. So I was drawn to it for that reason, but I really didn't know what to think about it. So let's go ahead and go down. We'll show you how to play, and then we'll tell you if we really think it was worthy. Okay, so this is the basic setup of the game. You're going to have a big deck of sheep cards, and you're going to have 4 dealt out to make the field. And basically, this game's pretty straightforward. You're going to give each player 4 cards to begin with, and these cards, there's all kinds of different types. There's dragon cards, there's shepherds, there's treasure cards, different things that have different purposes. Now, Crazycraft, how do you win this game?
You have to get the most points with treasure to win.
That's right. Your treasure cards show you how many points they're worth if you can get them on the table.
So like in this case, you need 2 oranges and a wild to get this one, or any color.
Yeah, so if you have 2 orange sheep, and which you'll see, there's an orange sheep here, and the back of your cards, you'll see what cards are what. So the back of your cards are actually very important because that shows you what
kind of color and treasure they are.
Yeah, because your sheep are your money, essentially, is what you could say. So, and you can tell here, this is obviously a red card, and this is an orange card, but your opponents can also see, because they see the back of your hand, they can see what colors you have, which is important, and we'll explain that in a little bit. So, in this case, let's say, on your turn, you can do 2 things. You're able to play an action card from your hand, and you can play a treasure card or layer from your hand. So 2 actions you can take. In this case, if you wanted to play this, you would have to have 2 orange sheep. In this case, I have none. And you could play 1 of any kind, 3 total. And then you could play it on the ground, and or on the table, and you get 4 points. That's pretty straightforward and simple. But you can also play action cards, like a shepherd. Let you draw 2 cards, so that means you can fill up your hand. Now, at the beginning of your turn, you draw 2 cards. If you have too few cards in your hand, you get to draw a bonus card, but drawing cards is really important for being able to keep doing important things like playing treasures. Let's see that treasure you just drew, that ring. This is a nice cheap one, 2 points, but it only takes 1 orange and 1 of any color. And let's look at a few other treasures so we can get an idea of how. I want to see some of the expensive ones. We'll need to see a layer, so I'll keep that out. Like this one. The wishing tree. It's worth 7 points. That's huge.
But you have to get a lot, because you have to get 3 blues and 2 of any color.
Yeah, that's 5 cards you have to have in your hand other than this one to play this thing. So it's great points, but it's not so easy to play.
It isn't.
And that's where one of the challenges comes in, is how much time and effort are you willing to put in to get the really high point cards, because it's more card efficient to get the high point cards, but it just takes so much work to do it. Now, that being said, that's the most important thing, is playing those treasure cards, but you can also play layers. Layer cards are a given color. In this case, this is a blue layer card. You can only have 1 layer per color, and whenever you play treasures of that color, or even if there are some already on the table, you can move them onto here until you have 1. You can have 1, 2, 3, or 4 blue treasures on here. If you have 1, you get 1 bonus point. 2 blue treasures on this card, you get 3 bonus points, all the way up to, if you have 4 blue treasures on this card, you get 10 bonus points. This is a great way to rack up your score, because you can just keep on focusing on 1 color to get that big bonus. Then after that, any other blues you play just get played on the table separately. They don't get put on your layer. And of course, there's red layers, gold, and everything else. That way, for each different category and color of treasures, there's a layer to go with it. Now, what are the other action cards, Crazycraft?
The wizard.
Okay, the wizard, if you can play that with any other card to make it unstoppable, because if your opponent, let's say I'm trying to, where's a mean card? Give us a thief, maybe.
Or
this.
Knight.
Okay, show us the knight. What does the knight do?
He makes it to where you lose a turn.
Yeah, so if Crazycraft played that against me, then I would lose my turn. It'd skip my turn. If I had a dragon, I could say, nope, sorry, I can play that and stop him. However, if Crazycraft would have played a wizard with his knight, it would have been unstoppable. And so
too bad for you, dragon. I win. You can't do a turn.
That's right. I would not be able to play my dragon to stop it. The wizard just wipes it out. Now, on the other thing you can do to protect yourself is play... Ooh, I should say this real quick. Like, this is one of the most important cards, stealing, because let's say Crazycraft is holding this card. And let's say he sees this. I'm holding this group of cards. Crazycraft knows I've got 2 reds, a gold, an orange, and a purple. Let's say Crazycraft wanted reds. What would you do?
I'm going to get this red.
You get to steal 2 cards, so...
2.
So the thieving is very important because your opponent can see what colors you have. You know more than likely what they're going for, because if they have a blue layer, you know they're probably wanting to get blue treasures. So if you have blue cards, you know they're vulnerable to getting stolen, and you have to think about that and decide how you're going to protect yourself.
Thief versus thief!
Let's see that again. Boom!
I draw that card, a red card, and it happened to be a thief.
And thieves are honestly some of my favorite. Not only do I like the artwork and the werewolfness, but it's just great to be able to steal from people.
And it sells a sheep.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually sell like a ring or...
Yeah, wolves aren't worried about getting the gold and jewels. They're worried about other things. Now, there's also angry mobs that make you have to your opponent discard half of their hand. That's huge. You play that with a wizard, it's unstoppable. Otherwise, someone can stop it with a dragon, as usual. There's very valuable treasure cards like the Prince, but more specifically, I'm wanting to find there's a somewhat rare type of card. Aha, the Unicorn. The Unicorn is very powerful because the only problem is every time you play an action card, you're giving up your money, essentially. You're giving up something that could help you play treasure cards. But this card, if you play the Unicorn, for the entire round, you're invincible. No one can play anything. They can't play knights to make you lose your turn. They can't steal your cards. And they can't use the mob to make you lose half your hand. So if you're worried, especially if you're playing a 3 or 4 player game where there's more people that could possibly hurt you, this would be a great opportunity to say, nope, I'm going to be safe this round in case there's things that you really need to make sure you don't lose, or if you want to make sure you don't lose your turn. Now, apart from that, that really is basically the game. Ultimately, the end of the game happens whenever somebody has played their 10th treasure on the board. So if you get 10 treasures down, the end of the game happens, and then you score up all of your treasure points and bonus points from your layers. And that's the game.
Pretty much. That's the whole game.
That's it. Let's go back up. We'll tell you what we think. Okay, so now you see that it's a pretty simple game. It's basic card play. You draw cards, you play cards. You draw cards, play cards. Just go around the table. I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than that. Now, the main element of trying to get points I find to be not super exciting, where you're just getting cards. You're trying to get certain colors so that you can play your treasures. If that was the whole game, that would be disappointing.
That would.
But the fact that you have action cards that let you affect other players,
like stealing and protecting yourself.
You can try to protect yourself. There's an interesting enough group of action cards, and not too many that it's overwhelming. There's just enough to keep things interesting. You know your opponent could try to steal cards from you. You know you might lose a turn. Should I play my Unicorn now because they might play something really nasty on the next turn? Should I play a Wizard to make sure that I can steal and they can't block with one of their Dragon cards? All that makes the game
really
stay
fun.
It's
interesting, epic.
Yeah, it is epic.
Cool.
Yeah. The dragon, then the artwork's awesome. I mean, I just have to say, all the cards they just look good. So that's one of the things that drew me to the game anyway. So I'm very pleased with that. And the card quality is pretty nice too. I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's just it's not the best in the world, but it's good quality, linen finished cards. So I'm pleased with that.
I'd rate the quality like an 8 out of 10. Yeah,
it's very, very high quality cards and artwork. Now, here's the thing. You have to take that aspect. Generally speaking, now here's the thing. I like the action cards because of the take that aspect, but the good news is it's not too much take that where it's just, I attack you, you attack me, I attack you, you attack me. That can be a little much. Even though I like combat and I like hurting other players, I take that game where that's all it is. It's just you, boom, 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 who can hurt each other the most. just by playing goofy cards that do crazy things. That's not that great. But this, to me, hits that nice little balance of you can do a few things to hurt your opponent, and they know that they can protect themselves with certain cards, and you have to decide when is the best time to use your powerful stuff, protect yourself with a unicorn, use the wizard. But at the same time, you have to be careful because you're using those action cards that could be used to pay for your treasures. That's money. Every card is money in this game. So you might really want to steal, but you're giving up a card to steal. And so you have to decide if, let's say you're trying to get a blue treasure that needs a lot of blue cards. If you have a blue thief, do you really want to give up the thief if your opponent doesn't have any blue cards? Because if they have no blue cards to refill your hand with blue cards, you're losing a blue card that could be used to pay for your treasure. So you have to decide what's more important, playing action cards that hurt your opponent or saving up cards to get your awesome treasure that you want. Now, that's my favorite part about the game is the dual aspect of the cards. You get to see the color of the cards that your opponent has. You don't know what their cards are on the front side, but you can tell they've got this many blues, this many reds, and if you know that you need them, then you can purposely try to steal from them. That, in my opinion, is a really good thing. I like that, and I like the fact that whenever you're drawing cards, you can purposely choose things that are colors that you want, if you so choose, which typically is a no-brainer thing, but sometimes you want to get a little variety so you have more cards available. Or if you know your opponent is looking for a certain card, if Crazycraft is going for blue, maybe I'll purposely not pick blue cards because I'm afraid he'll steal them from me if he gets a thief, right?
Right.
So I think all that makes for some pretty interesting gameplay. However, we've not played this game with more than just us. We've never played 3 or 4 players.
But I do think it would just be better with 2 players, in my opinion.
I tend to agree because I think that more players would just make more chaos by the time it comes back around to you.
And more stealing and more losing all your cards.
Yeah, you might have a great setup to play an awesome treasure, but by the time it gets back around to you, everyone's stolen from you and then you don't have anything. So I think it is a good thing that to play 2-player as a nice duel. Now, don't get me wrong, I might end up playing it 3 or 4 player one day and go, wow, this is even better. But in my mind, 2-player feels like the right number of players.
Me too. I like a lot of the games 2-player.
Yeah. 2-player is fun. Some games are better with more, some games are better with fewer, but good 2-player games are, it's just great whenever you find some, and I think this is really good for 2-player. So, that being said, we like the card quality, we like the artwork. That's huge, right?
That is.
What about replayability? Do you think this is the kind of game that you can replay and it's interesting each time you play?
It's kind of hard to say, but I think it's replayability, like, if I had to play it or if I just wanted to play it, I think it's like every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. So you'd want to break from playing it. You don't want to play it too often.
Because it is a long game. Kind of.
I wouldn't say it's a long game, but it's maybe for what it is. Maybe for what it is, it can take a little while.
It can take 1 hour, maybe.
Yeah, they say 45 minutes, and yeah, I'll agree. For a basic card game, maybe that is a little on the long side. Maybe it could overstay its welcome.
But it still is fun, and that's the main thing.
And I'll agree with you there. It's not the kind of game that you just want to, after you play, I don't typically just go, let's play it again. I'm thinking more on the lines, oh, that was nice, we'll put it back on the shelf, we'll come back to it in a little while. But that being said, that's not a deal breaker. Now, what do you think about the strategic level? How much strategy do you think there is in this game?
If I had to scale a 1 out of 10, it would probably be a 5, maybe.
I think that's pretty reasonable because
I mean, it is a lot of it is luck.
Well, there is a lot of luck of the draw and what treasures you get and what action cards you get. Because one time Crazycraft got all these. What did you get? I think you got all the knights, so you made me lose my turn over and over again. And he got almost all the thieves, so he kept on stealing from me. And not only that, but there's another element of whenever you're getting your treasures, you might need a certain group, and if someone steals things from you that you needed, even if they don't know that you need certain things maybe, but they just get lucky and it ruins your chance to play your really good cards, or if they steal the high value treasures from you, that can be crushing to your hopes and dreams of doing well. So yeah, there is a lot of luck in this game. Strategy wise, typically your choices are kind of a no-brainer. And not 100%. There are some meaningful choices, but
not many.
if you have a really good blue treasure card, you're going to want to get blue cards so you can play it. So typically, what you draw is kind of obvious. Not 100% of the time, but I'd say 90% of the time, that's a no-brainer. Once you have cards in your hand, it's usually not that hard to figure out, is it worth using these cards as actions, or do I want to keep them so that I can play this great treasure? So some of I think the real strategy comes in how much do you want to build up your hand so that you can play the really expensive treasures versus trying to play a bunch of cheap ones so you can fill up your dragon's layers to get those bonus points. But so luck, it is heavier on luck, I would say. There's some strategy, but it's heavier on luck. Now, that being said, what would you rate this game?
Woo! Maybe a 9.5.
Really? So you really, really, really like it?
Well, maybe an 8.
Okay, that seems more reasonable. So, but for real, what do you really think? I mean, you can say whatever you want. If you think it's a 9, you can give it a 9.
I think it's an 8, really.
Okay, you think it's an 8. Me personally, I'd probably give it a 7. The artwork makes me want to give it an 8, honestly, because it looks so cool. I like the dragons, all that great stuff. But as far as the actual gameplay goes, I don't think it's quite up there enough to justify an 8. It's borderline maybe, I don't know, but 7, usually willing to play it for sure. And sometimes I will, say, hey, you want to play Dragon Sword? But it's not my go-to kind of game. But it is enjoyable and entertaining. It's something that Crazycraft can play and enjoy, so it works well in that aspect. So
it does.
It's family friendly. It's easy for everyone to get in and play, so I enjoy it for that aspect. So that being said, you gave it an 8. I gave it a 7. Hopefully this was helpful to you to know if you'd be interested or if you already know what you think because you've played it. Let us know in the comments if you disagree, have any questions, anything like that. And in the meantime, we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo guys, what up? We're going to be seeing how to play Dragon Sword. So how you play is you go to the wizard. You must fight him with your sheep right here. The sheep will fight for you. You must defeat them. Because if you don't, too bad and you lose. So that's the basic of the game. Hope you enjoyed the video. And we'll be seeing you on the next one. Bye. Even though we still have to do the review. So I guess it's not over yet. So we'll see what we think about the game.